Today, we're going to dive into Carmelite spirituality, but not as some old, dusty tradition. We're looking at it as a really practical guide for living a more meaningful life and, maybe more importantly, avoiding burnout in our crazy modern world.
I think we've all been there, right? You're giving everything you've got at your job, in your community, for your family, maybe even in your spiritual life. And at the end of the day, you're just completely drained. You're doing all these good things, but you're running on fumes. And let's be honest, it feels unsustainable, because it is.
And hey, if you feel this way, you are in really good company. I mean, even one of the greatest spiritual masters in history, Saint Teresa of Avila, admitted that for years she found prayer to be an absolute chore. So yeah, the struggle is real, it's universal, and it's exactly where we're going to start this journey.
So, let's get into it, because the Carmelites offer this brilliant shift in perspective to solve this whole burnout problem. And it all comes down to a really simple but powerful analogy. Are you living your life as a reservoir or as a channel? Okay, so this really breaks it down. A channel, right? It just lets water pass right through it. It's always moving, always active, but it holds on to nothing for itself. This is the person who's constantly doing for God, volunteering, organizing, serving, but never actually stopping to be filled by God. And the result? Burnout, dryness. Now, the reservoir, it has a totally different game plan. Its first job is to fill up. Only when it is completely full does it naturally start to overflow, and that overflow nourishes everything around it. This is the Carmelite ideal. Let God fill you up in prayer before you even think about pouring yourself out for others.
And this quote just nails it. Saint Teresa of Avila, who is this incredible powerhouse, a tireless reformer and founder, she knew this better than anyone. The source of her amazing energy wasn't her to-do list, it was her deep, personal relationship with God. The work flowed from the relationship, not the other way around.
Okay, but this brings up a massive question, right? What happens when you try to fill your reservoir and it just feels empty? What if prayer is hard, you feel absolutely nothing, and it seems like a complete waste of your time? This is probably the biggest hurdle for most people. And you know what? This trial can last a surprisingly long time.
9 years. Seriously, just let that number sink in for a second. 9 years. What on earth could that represent?
For the last 9 years of her life, Saint Therese of Lisieux, the little flower, one of the most beloved saints ever, she went through what's called a dark night. It was this intense period of spiritual dryness. She felt no comfort, no emotional high, basically nothing that felt like God's presence when she prayed. She was trying to fill her reservoir, and it felt like she was just staring at a cracked, empty basin. But here's the thing. What she chose to do next changes everything. She didn't stop. She kept going. She chose to trust in God's love even when she couldn't feel it for a second. And this is what Carmelite spirituality teaches us. This dryness isn't a sign that you're failing. It's often an invitation from God to purify your love, to love Him for who He is, not for the good feelings He might give you.
So, if good feelings aren't the goal, then what is? How do we actually get through this dryness in a practical way? Well, let's move on to the solution. And the key, in one word, is perseverance.
And the Carmelites give us a really practical 4-step playbook for this. First up, examine your obstacles. Know yourself. What's really getting in your way? Is it your phone, your crazy schedule? Just be honest. Second, reframe the dryness. See, it's not a punishment. It's more like a promotion. God trusts you enough to let you walk by faith, not by feeling, and that makes your faith stronger. Third, don't waste the struggle. Offer it up. Take that feeling of emptiness and unite it with Christ's suffering on the cross. This turns what feels like a pointless pain into a powerful act of love. And finally, and this might be the most important one, just show up. The simple act of setting aside time for God, especially when it's hard, is one of the most profound ways we can show our trust in Him.
So, what's all this inner work for? I mean, what does it actually produce? Well, a truly full reservoir has to overflow. The ultimate test of a real prayer life isn't about what happens when your eyes are closed, but what happens when they're open to the world and the people around you.
Mother Teresa once said something really powerful, that the greatest poverty in the West wasn't a lack of food, but a lack of love. This is what we mean by spiritual poverty. It's that deep, gnawing loneliness and emptiness that so many people feel today. And the Carmelite tradition calls us to serve this kind of poverty just as seriously as we serve material poverty.
All right, let's make this super concrete. Giving food at a shelter, that's a vital work of mercy. But you know what else is? Patiently listening to a friend who is just overwhelmed with anxiety.
Clothing the naked is absolutely essential, and so is just sitting with a family member who feels completely and utterly alone. The Carmelite lens sees no difference in value here. In every single act of service, whether it's for the body or for the soul, we get this incredible opportunity to meet and love Christ himself.
And that's the bottom line. That's the real test. If you want to know if your prayer is working, don't look for emotional highs. Look for a growing ability to love the people around you, especially when it's hard. That is the undeniable proof of a full reservoir.
So, this all brings us to the final, personal call to action. Because this isn't just some abstract theory. It's a real invitation to see your own world with totally new eyes. So, the question I want to leave you with is this. Who in your life, in your family, at your job, in your neighborhood, is experiencing that material or spiritual poverty? Who is that difficult person, that lonely neighbor, that anxious friend? Because according to Carmelite spirituality, that person is your most direct encounter with Christ today. They are the field that your overflowing reservoir is meant to nourish.